Hey guys, welcome to the LT Brings the Heat podcast. We're your hosts, Sean Laird and Adam Hoese, where we talk about baseball and sports performance. With topics ranging from coaching, business, and player development, our goal is to bring you a no BS approach to development in baseball and sports performance. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's rock and roll. All right, hey guys, we got a special episode today. I got one of my former players, first round draft pick for the Dodgers last year, played at Tulane, Kody Hoese. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Kody.
What's up, guys? I'm Kody here with Sean Laird and Adam Hoese today, doing a podcast with them.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it, guys. Basically, Kody was a former player of mine. Kody, you played for me in summer of 2014. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was 15U.
Yeah. 16U. 16U.
Oh, was it 16?
Yep, 16U.
Okay, 16U.
Yeah, it's been. I was just talking to Adam before we hopped on. I'm like, man, this has been the years are starting to run together. So I'm kind of
right?
Stuff.
I know, because I played with Dan the next year then too.
Mm-hmm. Dan, and we just had him on the other day. He's a good dude, man. So kind of run us through the process for you. Like when you we're kind of got to go through everything. I want to take this kind of like from an audience member approach today, and kind of just run us through the process of, when you made that transition from high school ball to travel ball with the Bulls, and kind of run us through the recruiting and kind of things that kind of maybe caught you off guard. It kind of helped you through the process and everything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, freshman year in high school, going into high school, I didn't really know what to expect, as a lot of incoming freshmen into high school don't really know. I played on the varsity team, so getting used to like playing with seniors and the older guys was a big change for me. You got to get used to just trying to fit in at that point. And then I did play travel ball growing up, but it wasn't as serious with the Bulls. And then like sophomore year, junior year, the baseball kind of got pretty serious. I went down and played with you guys in Indianapolis with the Bulls. Every weekend, we were traveling down to Indianapolis because I'm from Northwest Indiana. So it's probably like an hour to an hour and a half drive every day down there to play. And yeah, that's when the recruiting and all the college stuff started for me. And I didn't really know what to expect with that stuff. I remember you like giving me texts like, hey, you need to call this college coach, call this guy, and but overall it was like a very good process, and it was a good learning experience for me.
Absolutely. So obviously coaching you in high school and me and Jake Hansen, I'm sure you remember Jake and talking on the phone with me a little bit. He was one of the assistant coaches in the Bulls at that age level. And we heard about this shortstop in Northwest Indiana. Like, man, we gotta go after the shortstop. He's projectable. He's got some good bat speed and stuff. And I remember always saying, like, I would talk to colleges and like, man, this guy's he's got the body. He's going to grow into himself a little bit. He's got quick twitch at the plate. And I actually use you an example all the time about projectability, but also like I always brag about that team is, we stole a lot of bases that year.
Oh, for sure.
And you weren't exactly the fastest guy in the world, but you were quick, but you had phenomenal reaction speed.
Right.
And like you could pick up, you stole a ton of bases that summer. Mm-hmm. And the big thing with me is kind of talk us through like kind of your mindset and approach to the plate through high school. I would love to hear that aspect of things, and we'll kind of dive in deeper as we get going from college and how things change, but kind of approach your mindset at high school as a hitter.
I think as a high school hitter, it was just a very simplistic approach. It was literally just see the fastball and try to attack it. Honestly, see it and hit it. And then I had a big leg kick in high school because the competition wasn't overly like powerful, or it wasn't beating me ever. So then as I went along in my baseball career, I had to tone that out, get rid of that because the pitching, the velocity got up there, the stuff got better and all that. But yeah, it was just a very simple approach in high school. It was kind of just see the fastball and kind of just react to the off speed.
That's good stuff right there. So when you were recruited, kind of run us through like the colleges that I know you ended up going to Tulane, great school down south. Yeah. I talked to the South Alabama coaches, which is me and Adam's alma mater, and I made some mess around with Zuli to this day about not picking you up. But kind of run us through the colleges that kind of were interested in you, kind of jumped on that Hoese train.
Yeah, I mean, most of the Indiana schools were pretty interested. IU at the time, Purdue, Indiana State, Ball State. And then you had some other schools like Arkansas was a little interested. Talked to Wichita State a little bit, and a few other schools in the South. But I ultimately went with Tulane due to the coaching staff and just how they welcomed me there. And when I went on my visits and official visits, and it was just everything I wanted. And it was just kind of it was an enjoyable process to go through that, just to build relationships with other guys, coaches, see how different colleges do stuff and the differences they have.
Nice. Kody, what kind of made that choice of Tulane be the right fit for you? I think a lot of kids get caught up into maybe the name on the jersey, where they want to go. Yeah. Just kind of get caught up in that whole aspect as opposed to the relationships and the coaching and development. What was it that really sold yourself on Tulane going there?
First off, it was being from Northern Indiana. I kind of wanted to get out of the cold weather because playing in high school, summer ball, that it was a good baseball, but it just wasn't like the top tier talent, I would say. But you get down south, you play in those tournaments in Georgia, you play in those Florida tournaments. It's just a whole different atmosphere of baseball. So I kind of want to get down there and experience that. Also, like I said, the coaching staff, they really sold me on the university. It was not only a good baseball school, but a good academic school as well, which I really liked about it. And then also when I went down there, it was just like the people that I met, a lot of the players on the team, they were very welcoming too. Everyone was nice, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I from a guy that from Indiana ended up going south too, and I remember we had those conversations about playing ball down south in the past,
right.
But South's just a different atmosphere. There's really good people there. It's just how they are. They're very welcoming. Right. They're very welcome in nature, as Adam will attest, growing up in the South. And so you kind of touched on this a little bit. So that jump, you talked about your leg kick a little bit. When you made that jump from high school to college, and the big thing is like I followed you as much as I could. I know you hit, I think it was low twos as a freshman and jumped up the threes as a sophomore. And then that you had that huge power jump as a junior, which I'm sure you've answered that question a million times.
For sure.
Kind of how did your approach change, and kind of what really made something like a light bulb in the head kind of click and go, wow, this is really working?
Yeah. I would say from high school to college, it was just kind of toning that leg kick out and just kind of understanding who I was as a hitter. I wasn't a big power guy, so I didn't really, I wasn't trying to put the ball over the wall. I was trying to stay gap to gap as a doubles guy, just hit line drives, nothing crazy. And then finally, kind of like that sophomore year, junior year, I kind of started developing more strength, more power, more of that man muscle. And then I really understood who I was as a hitter, just recognizing pitches, scouting reports on the pitchers. We really dug into that, watch pitching, and kind of just see what their go-to is in different counts, all that stuff, really dug into that. And then it really helped me with recognizing the strike zone too, understanding the strike zone with, understanding the count leverages and all that stuff, laying off speed, knowing when to swing, good counts of swing and stuff like that too. And then that really, I didn't try to be a power hitter, but I still stuck to that gap to gap approach. And then, barreling balls, the added strength, it just kind of just helped the ball carry more.
That's awesome. It sounds like you matured as a hitter, both from a hitting standpoint as well as a kind of approach learning standpoint. One of my favorite things as I looked up your numbers was you had more walks than strikeouts, which is a super awesome stat that I don't think it gets talked about enough because you're learning to be selective and learning for pitches to look for. Now, obviously, the power jumped up there. Was there anything mechanical that you changed, or was it simply just kind of adding strength and kind of knowing what pitch you wanted to hunt after?
I think it was just kind of adding strength, and as the years went on in college too, I think I just gained more confidence too at the plate. Just confidence in my ability of what I know, what I can do, and what I can hit and stuff.
Yep. And you mentioned something about kind of understanding who you are as a hitter and knowing, basically knowing your role. Like that's something. Obviously, it took me a while to kind of understand. I joked around with Adam the other day about like I realized when I went to college they weren't going to give me a pitch to hit. I had to force them to give me a pitch to hit. Right. And I think sometimes as hitters, especially when we make that jump, is we kind of get ourselves out, not understanding the situation that we're in.
For sure.
Understanding counts and kind of making that. What kind of was Tulane's philosophy, and what kind of development philosophy they have for the hitters, and what kind of did Coach kind of run through you guys as you went through there for 3 years?
Yeah, they let us do a lot of the stuff, like very, very open-minded of what we feel and what they saw too. Obviously, if it wasn't working, they would help and try to construct you a little bit, make your swing better, and kind of define it. But ultimately, they kind of gave us the freedom to do whatever we want. They didn't really make us robots. Where I hear a lot of college programs kind of just like they kind of have like their one way of hitting. Which I really liked and appreciated from our coaches. They let us do our own thing, and they really preached the two-strike approach. And I think that's what really helped my walk to strikeout ratio thing. It was really, that different mentality when you get two strikes of, you're not putting your best swing on it every time. You're just fighting, getting that fight mentality in you.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Hey, so watching some video of you, a guy you reminded me of was DJ LeMahieu. Is there any in the swing that you have? Is there certain guys you like to study in the major leagues, or certain guys you like to look for when you were coming up going through the system?
Yeah, I've gotten DJ LeMahieu a lot, and he also played at LSU. So down there, like everyone's like, "Oh, DJ LeMahieu." I grew up watching Chris Bryant a lot, just due to the similar body types of like the long, lengthy, kind of just like smoothness. Doesn't really like show a lot of effort kind of guy. So I really watched him and just how he played overall, kind of defensively and offensively, which I really liked out of him.
One thing I want to touch on, because I think it'd be really beneficial for our audience, especially players, is you were recruited to play shortstop, correct? Is that kind of where you recruited? And, I always saw your body as projectively as a corner guy, specifically third base, because you're a little too athletic, from my opinion, for first base. Right. What kind of made that transition? And obviously, like a lot of guys kind of get stuck in the rut, is like, hey, I'm a shortstop. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. I think it's beneficial for us. And obviously, we moved you around as much as possible in high school. Because scouts love that stuff. What kind of made that as your home as the process went going?
I think I definitely had that mentality of like, I'm a shortstop and I'm only shortstop only too growing up. But when I got into college, I kind of recognized, it's like the most beneficial way is to be very versatile, and, you got to get on the field to play. So if you could play multiple positions, that can only help you. So we had two shortstops going in, me and another guy to Tulane, and he took the job. So then I just had to slide to third. And growing up playing shortstop, it was a very easy transition, just with the lateral movements and everything, and coming in on the balls, especially at third with the bunts and everything. It really helped me growing up playing in the middle of the diamond, for sure.
Absolutely.
No, that's great stuff. Now, when you were coming up, were you a multi-sport athlete?
I played basketball only my freshman year, and then I gave it up just to play baseball.
Focus on baseball? Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, we love talking about multi-sport stuff, and we're probably going to have a specific podcast focusing on multi-sport. And I always talk about, strength and conditioning is part of that multi-sport process, and I treat it as its own sport. What was the big thing that you did in the weight room, or maybe things that you really started focusing on that you hadn't in the past, or maybe things just started clicking? What was the strength and conditioning process when you were at school that kind of helped you make that power jump and hitting jump?
We had a great strength and conditioning coach at Tulane, very hands-on with everything, very, very strict with what we did, and kind of like the body movements that you talk about. The conditioning, it was obviously very tough, but it only helped us in the end. Just it strengthened us mentally a lot, just to dig deep and just fight through it. And then, collectively as a team, everyone's cheering you on, finish, all that. And it just really helped us as a team. But I think, just eating proper, and then in college, I really kind of stuck to a strict diet of what I was eating, and when I was, just like your rest and all that stuff, which really helped my body and pretty much grow and get stronger.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think that's one aspect that a lot of people look at from a baseball standpoint. They look at on the field so much more than just what goes into the whole process to make sure your body's ready to go. That can kind of transition you over to your first year in the minors and being selected in the first round with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And just kind of, how was your first year with them, being it for the full summer and kind of going through that transition phase?
Yeah, so I got there, I think it was like the end of June-ish. And then we started up playing in the Arizona League. And it was pretty much the same, as college. Obviously, you didn't have to go to school in the mornings or whatever. But, You know, we did a lot more baseball activity in the mornings where you get to the field, you know, you probably do some BP, take some grounders, all that. So there was more baseball involved, and then you get to the game. Whereas in college, you didn't have that because you have to go to class, then you go get your meal, and then you're going to the field to get some early swings, and then you got your BP and then the game. But in pro ball, it was more just, you know, all baseball right away. And then, yeah, it went well for my first half season. You know, I was looking forward to this full season, my first full season coming up, but it got halted. But yeah, but the first half season was really good for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, you kind of went through a little bit of an injury, I believe, last summer, like there. What exactly happened out there to kind of get you off process?
It was just like some forearm stuff. Like I think it was just fatigue from a long year. Just throwing a lot. We took infield, outfield every day, throwing every day. So I think it was just some fatigue and stuff. So they just had me DH a little bit and then play like 2 games at third and then DH. So it was kind of just like a schedule I was on.
Gotcha. So with that process, like what did you focus on this off season to kind of prep you? And hopefully you guys get a chance to go out there in the next few months. You know, I definitely want to see you out there. I know obviously you want to be out there with that and in that long season and making that transition and knowing what you had to do. What did you kind of do in that preparation, the off season part?
So I was fortunate enough to go to LA this off season and work out with some of the strength staff out there. They brought in probably like, I would say 10 to 20 minor leaguers, some guys in and out here and there. I was out there the full off season, and then we got to work out with some of the major leaguers on the team. So that was very, very helpful. I learned a lot from the strength coaches about, you know, proper ways to lift, of what we need to do, what we need to eat, all that stuff. And nowadays it's crazy how much stuff is involved with eating, rest, lifting. You know, they gave us these Whoop bands to track our recovery, all this stuff, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So many guys overlook that recovery process. They overlook that training process. And that's something we always are harping on with high school guys. Basically, like when it came, and I know obviously you're chomping at the bit to get back in there, like what kind of was the culture change when it comes to coaching, the coaches in college versus the coaches in pro ball? Like what was the biggest difference that you can kind of testify when you made that jump?
I would say from the college to pro ball, I think in pro ball, they're kind of more just relaxed, kind of do what you like. And then if you want critique or help, you kind of have to approach them more in pro ball. Rather as in college, everything's kind of like a team atmosphere, team practices, where everything's very structured, organized. Like every day we had a practice plan of what we had to do, where we needed to be, certain times. And then in pro ball, it's more of just like if you want to take early work, it's free. If you want, you know, go to the cages, ask a coach to go flip to you, whatever you want. As in college, it was kind of just like structured, like you're in this group at this time. So I think that was kind of just the difference of the coaching style or coaching styles.
Yeah. Now with the Dodgers, in my opinion, they're probably one of the top guys when it comes to the analytics and the new age kind of new technology stuff. Can you kind of harp on some of the stuff, maybe whether it's watching more video, or is it Rapsodos you're hitting on? Is it a bat sensor? Is there some things that you've noticed just in the little time that you spent with the Dodgers that kind of is like, whoa, this is a lot more going into hitting than just what I thought it was?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot more analytics involved with the Dodgers than there was in college for sure. So like last half season, every BP we had one of those bat sensors on the bottom of the bat where we use, it tells like launch angle, exit velos, and then after the game, you could go look at that and see like if your swing was on that day or whatever, and then the next day you kind of just compare the two to see where you're at. And then there's just a bunch of devices that the Dodgers use. Like you said, video is a big one too. Like before the games, they have the pitcher up, and then you could go onto the computer, watch video, different counts, different hitters, what they like to throw in certain counts, which is very helpful too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great stuff. You know, I think that, you know, with guys that are listening, and it's good motivation from our Bulls guys, but also Adam coaches and Louisiana Knights organization, down in New Orleans or Louisiana. And we talk all the time about guys understanding, like, you know, it doesn't matter where you are. And obviously you're a highly projectable guy. You were recruited pretty well. And you're a perfect example of a guy that keeps working hard, keeps following the process. Didn't have like this awesome freshman year. Played a lot of games, and you kept developing, getting better each and every single year, and you ended up being a first round draft pick. And I know you were drafted out of your sophomore year as well. I'm a big believer in the adversity in life and the situations that we're brought in kind of make us who we are. What kind of adversity did you kind of go through over the last 5-6 years that really kind of made you who you are today and helped you become more mentally tough?
Yeah, definitely. I think what really good adversity point would be going into my freshman year in college. I didn't start. So kind of like recognizing that, seeing that's like, damn, I got to work harder. I gotta get on the field to play, show I could stick here, play. And then that really hit me when I started playing. I was like, I got to stick here. And it just like mentally, I was just like, like I got to prove myself to stay here. So that kind of was like adversity that I had to deal with. And then, yeah.
That's good stuff. And I know, and me and Adam can both testify to us. We had a little bit different of a route when we went to college. And when I showed up my freshman year at South, I didn't start early, and it probably was about 3 or 4 weeks into the season where I got some opportunities to kind of prove myself. And so you were constantly getting yourself and preparing yourself to make sure you were ready. And one thing I learned real quick is you never know when you're going to pinch hit. You never know you're going to get your opportunity.
Exactly.
What kind of helped you? I love getting inside the minds, and obviously you're known for hitting, and you're damn good defensively as well. But what kind of get inside your mind? Like, is there a certain hitting routine, certain thing that you kind of focus on day in and day out, that you kind of do a lot of the same things, or do you kind of change things up as you go to kind of maintain and keep your swing true?
Yeah, I think it all starts off with before the game with me. Just I kind of know when I feel right, when I feel off a little bit before the game. I just kind of try to keep it very simple in BP to start off. Just try to hit line drives. I know a lot of guys like to lift and get pull happy. They see the scouts, they want to just hit home runs, but that really didn't work for me when it translated to the game. I was a big just very line drive right field, and in the first round stay up the middle, second round, third round maybe get a little big, and then that translated into the game very well, where it was if I was swinging big in BP, it would just translate to the game, whereas in BP, if I was kind of just keeping it simple, it would just translate to the game where I'd get a barrel and it would eventually carry out.
That's awesome. That's exactly the way the mindset that I had. Like if I would get big, I would get big in the game. I'd strike out a lot. I would feel terrible.
Right.
And I think especially high school guys, and me and Adam were talking about this the other day, is like guys try to get way too big and not understand, BP is practice. Like you're working on things. Obviously,
exactly.
There's certain time to, kind of pull and kind of get the hips going, try to hit with power.
Right.
But you're kind of prepping yourself for that. Adam, is there anything you want to elaborate and talk about with that too?
Yeah, I want to talk about, so it sounds like kind of a relaxed atmosphere that works for you. Are you a big believer in kind of like having days where you challenge yourself as well, whether it's against a breaking ball machine or a velo machine? And how is it important to kind of like even those things out where, hey, some days I just need to get a couple swings on the tee, I feel great. And hey, there's some days I need to dive in deep on this.
Yeah, I think in college, when I was going good, it was just, take a few swings off the tee and then call it a day, get ready for the game. But when I really needed to kind of just dig deep and challenge myself, it was, like you said, the curveball machine, and then face some velo. Or if that day I was facing a really good pitcher where I knew the velo was up, or like a very sharp curveball or something, we'd hit off that machine just to get kind of game ready.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So one thing I kind of want to start asking every guest is, a guy that wants to be, I don't want to say the next Kody Hoese, because I don't want to put that on you, but I want to say the next guy, that comes out of the Bulls or comes out of the Knights organization, high school, the next guy that wants to be, a college baseball player at a top 25 school and then make that transition and get drafted. Like, what's your advice? Top 3-4 things that he needs to do at the high school level to kind of help him prep for that?
Yeah, I think I would say the first thing is, you just got to continue to work hard. It sounds very, very cliche, but a lot of guys kind of take it for granted. They think they're working hard, but I don't think they're actually doing what it takes. Like I think every day you need to be doing some type of activity. A lot of guys kind of just take it for granted, like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or whatever. I think that's, you're just stick to it every day, whether it's you're going to hit every day or you're going to lift, condition, whatever it is, you need to keep active. I think mentally too, on the mental side, you got to be very strict of what you want to get done, and kind of just where you got to set your kind of your goals of what you want to do. I don't think I did that very well back in high school. I didn't really have that goal of getting to the MLB until kind of college, where it really started to click. I think that's a big one. And then, just to remain very humble and very confident in yourself, for sure.
I like to dive into the mindset of people that are successful, especially athletic people that are successful. Now, being a first round pick is like a huge deal. Now, was that something you ever like envisioned or imagined, or when did you kind of know, like, dang, I got a pretty good shot at this, like coming into your junior year, maybe like, if I have a big year this year, it could be big for me?
Yeah, I think like at the end of my sophomore year when I got drafted, it kind of shocked me a little bit, just due to the fact that I never really went through the draft process, and then just hearing your name called, because I was playing summer ball actually that summer, and I get a call after the game like, hey, you got drafted. And I was just like, what? Like, I was thrown off and everything. And then I obviously didn't accept that offer, and then went to college my junior year kind of with a little chip on my shoulder of like, hey, I can do this, and then as the year went on, I would probably say like halfway through the year, when you kind of notice like all the scouts and all the talk, and, social media is big nowadays. You hear it all and on that social media stuff. But I think probably like halfway through the year, it was kind of like, hey, you got to put the chance to be a first rounder.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome stuff. And I love that you talked about like everybody thinks that they work hard, but there's always another level. Like everybody has this mindset, oh, I work hard. And, we'll ask guys all the time, yeah, I work hard, but, working hard, it's relative. There's always somebody that's working harder. There's always something more that you could do. There's like the biggest advice, that I always give guys is like, if do the things that you don't want to do. And usually those are the things that are going to make you more mentally tough. They're going to help you with that process of working hard. And for me, it's really cool to have you on, and really cool to talk about this stuff, man. And we really appreciate you having on. Adam, is there anything you want to jump in on, add on here towards the end?
Yeah, the last thing I would just like to kind of elaborate on you and Sean's relationship from a coaching player standpoint, just kind of how important that was for you to have somebody to lean on and ask questions to about the recruiting process or training stuff or advice on the baseball field.
Yeah, so I think going into 16U travel ball, that was my first year of really like kind of that competitive baseball atmosphere, going to play with different guys I've never met, and Sean did a great job with me with just like kind of just welcoming me, making me very comfortable with everything. And I knew he played at South Alabama, so like the recruiting process was very it was easier for me to deal with, because I knew I had a guy that I could ask questions with. He's been through it, and I did take him as a kind of just as a role model when I was playing so he definitely helped me a lot through going through that recruiting process.
That's awesome, and I know he's very proud of you. So
yeah, thank you.
yeah. We always all use guys as examples, and you're one of the guys I always jump to as examples. You were always kind of more of a quiet and quiet guy naturally, but you always spoke with your effort on the field and between the lines. Sure. And then that class was actually pretty loaded. I mean, we had two guys end up get drafted the first round out of that group, so it was a pretty cool year, and we had a lot of guys go college, so. It's definitely cool to look back and kind of see. You don't really notice like, what you're prepping for. It's really cool to kind of see your story and kind of see that process. And
for sure.
Absolutely. And I know you, I love your family. Your family's good. Your mom's always been awesome. So, well, we appreciate you coming on, Kody, man. And thanks for getting on here and talking to the game, talking the process. Sure. And it's going to be really good stuff for the high school guys to listen to, man. So we appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kody.
Yep. Till next time, guys. We'll see you guys later. All right, guys, we just had Kody Hoese on, and like always, we're going to try to do a wrap up a little summary on the situation and the interview. One thing that I immediately am going to take away is, Kody, he was a recruited guy coming out of high school, not like super recruited, like we had guys that were more recruited on the Bulls than him. But he hit like 213 or 215 his freshman year, and then progressively got better and made that home run jump from 5 his sophomore year to 23 his junior year and get drafted in the first round. And to me, and this is something that everybody needs to listen to. Every player, especially the parents they listen to, it's a process to get to that level. It did not happen overnight. It took him year after year after year of training. And now here he is as a first-round draft pick playing in the minors. And, hopefully when this core team gets over with, he can go out, and some of you guys that don't know him maybe can go out there and follow his career.
Yeah, and you can just tell from like his mindset and us being around ball players all their life. Number one, he's super humble. Today was the first time I've ever talked to him, and you could just tell he's a real dude. And I think that's what's helped him have so much success on the field from a maturity standpoint. And I love how he mentioned both physically he matured and grew more into his body and where power came from, but then also mentally of learning an approach and learning what to swing at, what not to swing at, which led to a lot more walks and strikeouts, which is really impressive in this day and age where strikeouts are really kind of overlooked. I really like that what he was talking about from that standpoint.
Yeah, that's the thing is like he talked about the biggest thing is the discipline and understanding who he is as a hitter. And I think that's definitely something. I know it's something that's overlooked with a lot of guys. I would say probably, and Adam, you can kind of see what you think about this, but I would say at least 75% of the guys that come in, they really don't have a process when they show up to hit for hitting lessons. They don't have a process when they're working on their own. They kind of mindlessly hitting, not hitting with a purpose. And he sat there and talked about how his routine was a big part of the process and how it changed over the years and how things were different and things that he really didn't seem as a big deal in the beginning became more important as he went on.
Yeah, and it just simply sounds like his practice habits got better once he showed up as a freshman and realized it's a different level of baseball. We both played at the D1 level, and you have to compete and earn your starting spot. And I love how he mentioned he came in with that I'm a shortstop kind of mentality and then slid over to third base, and now he turns out to be a first-round pick. So I'd say it worked out pretty well for him. But just overall, he seems like a genuine awesome person, and there's no doubt in my mind I think we'll see him on TV one day.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something that I take a lot of pride in, just being able to coach a guy like that and guys like that are humble. They understand the process. He's going to take the time to help guys out. Anytime, I ask him a question, to this day, he'll respond back to me immediately. He's the type of guy that I want guys to understand, like that's the type of guy you want to aspire to be like, and not to put pressure on people like him, because there's a lot of people like Kody Hoese that's really good examples for young ball players. But it's just something like for us as instructors and as coaches, it's our jobs to help teach you guys how to be men as ball players. And when you have examples like that, for me, there's a lot of bad examples, especially with social media nowadays. You need to find somebody that is in the real world and, has real world expectations. And that's the type of guy right there that worked hard, kept his head down, did the right things, and things paid off for him.
Yeah, it definitely paid off for him in the long run. And it was just cool at the end how he kind of talked about y'all's relationship, because I think it's such an important process. You could kind of tell him, like we were talked about with Dan last time, was they're going to want to talk to the player. So number one, you can kind of give him that advice going into it of, hey, Kody, this is what it's going to be like. So I'm just kind of going to prepare you, as well as you can come to me with any questions. And I think that's probably the coolest thing that we get to do in this profession that we're in, is kind of help just pass on that knowledge and tell them what to say, what not to say. Kind of the same thing with social media. Hey, don't put that stuff up there, take it down, or hey, that's perfectly fine as you're advertising yourself. But it's just one of the cool perks of being able to do what we're able to do.
Absolutely, guys. So great episode. This is a really cool one to have a former player on. Got some fun ones coming up here, some exciting ones coming up, guys. So me and Adam are looking forward to bringing you as much information on development and the process of the development and kind of the stories behind the development here in the next couple of weeks, guys. So till next time, guys, we'll see you guys later.
Take care.